Lord, I can't change, so won't you fly, free bird? Welcome to America and the fourth round of the RTA F4 Championship, broadcast live and exclusively by us here on Gantry TV. 3 rounds in, and despite visiting 2 continents and 3 countries, we are still absolutely no closer to finding out who will be taking this championship, putting their name on the RTA Hall of Fame. Jason Smith leads the championship by just 1 point ahead of Ronan Doherty. Last week also marked the return of the McClemens brothers, with older brother Sean taking the limelight this time around, winning the final heat and securing a good evening for Team DDR. So you're very welcome to the latest round of the RTA F4 Championship, and as the intro suggests, we have moved from metric land to imperial land, and indeed the America's National Park of Speed. We started in Sao Paulo a few weeks ago, credited back across the Atlantic Ocean to Castle Donington and Donington Park. Then we headed to Spielberg last week and back across the Atlantic. We'll go to Plymouth, Wisconsin, founded in 1845 in Sheboygan County, the population of just 3,115 people. This, of course, is Road America, and this is a very, very long track, 6.5 kilometers, 4.048 miles. We start with the Road America straight, then the Moraine sweep to the Hurry Downs, and then that famous carousel in the second section, the Kink, where we expect to see plenty of action before we head down towards Canada Corner, and that tricky final section before heading back onto the straightaway again. This is a track that is really an absolute staple of the IMSA calendar and so popular amongst all of the drivers here on the grid. So, as you may have noticed, we are heading to Road America, where it's partly cloudy, temperatures of 20 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, don't ask me. 16% humidity, and we're on the Grand Prix, of course, configuration of the famous Road America circuit, where track temperatures are 47 degrees. My name is Kevin Galvin, and I'm joined as always by my partner in crime, Evan Dalton. And Evan, really interesting last couple of weeks. Shapes up nicely as we head to our North American leg of this chapter.
Hello Kevin, hello folks watching at home. Yes, we had a fabulous week last week in Austria, some absolute cracking racing. Jason Smith, of course, taking pole position and 2 heat wins, just like he did in Interlagos, and then Sean McClemens taking his first heat win of the season. It is sort of a turn of fate maybe for Sean McClemens, as he actually becomes the first Team DDR driver to win this season, so very impressive from Sean. It's going to be a good one here in Road America, one of the longer circuits on our calendar. Slipstream going to be very important tonight, especially on the runs down towards turn number 5 and the run through the Kink towards the Canada Corner and up the hill, of course, to the start-finish line once again. I'm excited for this one, Kevin. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. The guys are really starting to get the handle now of this F4 car, should I say, heading into the week. And I suppose last week we saw Team DDR coming back in style. We still haven't seen Swift Cooper show their true colours yet. So we'll expect to see that over the course of this championship, but still plenty to play for as we head into this week. Jason Smith leading the championship by just 1 point ahead of Ronan Doherty. Ronan obviously picking up a 15-point penalty earlier on in the season, then followed by Rory O'Shea, who was the championship leader heading into last week. And Conor Meliak, Brandon McGaughan, Dylan McClemens, Sean McClemens, Jason Cooper, Robbie Callahan, and Jordan Kelly. Evan, look, obviously there's already a big gap appearing between even the top 4 and the rest of the field. Of those top 4, Ronan Doherty, obviously a previous winner, Jason Smith, a previous winner, and Rory O'Shea, somebody who obviously has won championships in the past, but showing great pace in this championship thus far.
Yeah, 4 drivers within 50 points, of course, being Jason Smith, Ronan Doherty, Rory O'Shea and Conor Meliak. Not a bad 4 drivers. Conor Meliak has been very impressive so far, has gone definitely under the radar, but only a point separating Smith and Doherty in front, and we got an absolute ding-dong between them two last week in the Red Bull Ring, so we can only imagine what it would be like maybe with the championship at stake. But it's still close. Remember, 30 points on offer for a heat win, 90 across the night, so there's still a lot to play for. We're only at the halfway point of the season here tonight. It's not over just yet, but we're certainly seeing 4 guys run away at the front.
Yeah, halfway point of the calendar, which will bring you to remind you what we have coming up as well. Obviously, we started in Sao Paulo at Interlagos, where we finished the last championship. And then from there, we moved to Donington Park, as you saw on our calendar, then to Austria for the Red Bull Ring. And we start a little mini North American circuit now here, because we go to Road America. And then soon enough, we go just across the border. Of course, we're in very much the north of America in terms of being here in Wisconsin, in Plymouth, Wisconsin. But next week, we head to the bigger city of Montreal and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for that one. So two outstanding tracks, and two, I suppose, when you think of Gilles Villeneuve, you think of F1, but Road America is all about IMSA.
It is. It's all about IMSA and IndyCar. I've got to give IndyCar a shout out. It's all about your American sports car championships. IndyCar around here was in the wet last year, and it was absolutely fabulous. IMSA as well. It's not the greatest circuit in the world for endurance racing. I'm going to just put my hand up and say that it is quite tight, it is quite narrow, but it is a difficult circuit, really difficult to drive. We're not going to be short of spins and crashes here tonight, folks. Some drivers absolutely love it. Conor Melia was chomping at the bit last week to come here and to drive here, but others will struggle because they don't like it. So it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag tonight, one of the longer lap times on the calendar. And yeah, it's not necessarily drive to survive because we've got nice and sunny conditions, but it'll certainly be an evening of attrition.
Yeah, not at all. But it is a drive for Mr. Worldwide for Jordan Kelly during the week. He went to see, what would you call him, the bald sensation. And, you know, Evan, you're a big fan of Pitbull yourself, because you've posted on your own social media to try and get free tickets.
Okay, so we both did decent research today, then it goes to show. I discovered what concert Jordan Kelly was at, and you were stalking my Instagram story. To be honest, Kevin, I don't really know why I entered to win tickets, but, you know, could be a decent night. Jordan seems to have a good time.
Yeah. Well, you know, you are responsible for everything you do put up on social media, although RTs are not necessarily endorsements. But yeah, we, of course, if you haven't checked in with us before, you are very welcome to Gantry TV and indeed RTA. You probably have seen this before, so a lot of this information won't be new for you. But if you are just joining us, we are looking at the practice session before we then have a race 1 that's based off the grid set by qualifying. It's 10-minute affair, followed by race 2, which is a 15-minute affair with the grid set by the results of race 1. And then for the final race, 20 minutes feature race, reverse 8. So the top 8 go 1 to 8, 8 to 1, and then 9 upwards continue where they are for race 2. We have drive-throughs at 15x, DQs at 20x, so you do have to be on your best behavior. This is a track where, obviously, it's a bit of a windy one, Evan, so it does give a little bit of space for overtaking, but you expect to see some X points on the board at this kind of world famous track.
Yeah, you do. The curbs here are horrible when you run wide, really, really bad, and you will see sort of how bumpy and bouncy they are. As I believe we have a hot lap to go to as well. You will sort of see that you don't really want to run wide at this circuit. The circuit itself is not the greatest in the world, so if you run along those curbs, you're going to not only pick up an X, but you will definitely lose lap time. So drivers are going to try keep it within the white lines as much as possible.
Yeah, Jason Smith currently third in the qualifying, but he takes us through a lap here at America's, what is it known as again? The America's National Park of Speed, as we head through turn 1. 14 marshal posts here, so 14 corners, even though those would disagree that this is necessarily corners. This is a really important one, that turn 3, a kind of a sweeping section as you head down towards the main straight. And this bridge, the Sargento Cheese Bridge, which I think is kind of the trademark landmark of this Road America track. It's really an unusual bit of sponsoring, but I imagine very effective. Then downhill for this turn 5. Yeah, really look how wide Jason goes in that. He basically goes way over the limits and then has a massive exit as well. Turn 6 is really tricky. You're uphill going over the crest, so you can very easily unsettle the car when you take those brakes, and you go wide once again, taking all of that exit curbs. You head towards turn 7, more of a sweeping turn, as again you head down the hurry downs and into turn 8. This is actually a sort of a corner that is quite comfortable. It's kind of an enjoyable corner to take with the radius coming out at you. And then the carousel, the famous carousel here, which comes back around on itself. So it's about how much do you push, and then when do you leave off? Can you get the car rotated as you try and pin it as hard as you can underneath the Mission Bridge and down towards the kink turn 11. Think here, this is a scene of many an accident where you see one car going slightly wide on the left hand side, they spin coming back across track and then blindly all of the other cars follow in. So it can be a big pressure point down towards the kettle bottoms here as we head towards Canada Corner, one of the most famous corners on this track. And it's again a really late apex corner. Try and get around to it, and you're just using as much to run off on the left hand side. This now turn 13 is a bit of an awkward one. You think you can go full throttle, but it depends on what kind of machinery you're in. You head towards turn 14, try and get it straight in there. There is a little bit of a kink coming back towards 14. Try and get the car in a straight line, try to break, get it slowed down, and then get back on the throttle for the very long Road America straight. So that takes us on a lap around Road America. You can see the times there. Jason Smith, as he showed us, almost a carbon copy of the lap that we just saw, putting him in for 2:08.2. And our championship leader, Evan, once again, you see Jason Smith first, Ronan Doherty second. This is going to be set for a ding-dong battle this evening.
Absolutely, and I tell you, it's really close at the front here because the top three separated by less than 2/10 of a second. You can see a load of gravel thrown into Jason Smith's cockpit. A decent week for him in the real racing world. Was out karting in Kevin Galvin country at the weekend and managed to score the most points in the intervarsity karting competition. So Jason Smith on a run of good form. Cork, I should say, for people who don't know where Kevin's from. Ronan Doherty, although how could you not know where Kevin's from? I think he mentions it every week at least. Ronan Doherty in second. Very, very close behind Jason Smith. And then Sean McClemens in third and Conor Melia in fourth. So I suppose the four front runners from last week in Heat 3 certainly at the front here. Luke Cooper, very nice lap indeed for the Swift Coopers. We mentioned it just before we got started here tonight, Kevin, that we've not seen much from Swift Cooper, but that might be changing.
Yeah, I hope it does too, because I'd love to see that DDR Swift Cooper battle really heat up. DDR getting the better of them at the moment. Of course, I suppose more experienced overall in terms of the RTA championships, and that experience does come into play. I am contractually obliged to mention Cork. Unfortunately, I do get my Cork passport revoked if I don't mention it once every week. Although I was kind of a little bit reticent to mention it this week, given the weekend that our hurlers and footballers had. Whoa, that was an
Ooh.
interesting move there. Round the outside by Finlay Melvin there in the 15, overtaking, I can't see who that is in the 22 car. It's Peter McCann. And obviously, Peter, part of our stewarding team, so I'm not sure how he's going to view that in track. But anyway, Finlay moving round the outside, getting it done in the end.
That's the most
But
Findlay Melvin move I've ever seen in qualifying. Like
uh,
that doesn't even surprise me in the slightest.
yeah, well, I was going to say it does lead me nicely on to the news on the grid that both TJ Taff and Logan Hoy have a 2-round ban for incidents, I suppose, that took place yesterday during practice. We won't go too much into it, but needless to say that I suppose it's not the first offence. So they are out for 2 rounds, but hopefully we will see them back on the grid for the final couple of
We
rounds of the championship, and we will be able to enjoy some fairly clean driving in the last couple.
Yes, as Sean McClemens, quickest now in the session with a 2:08 flat. Last time we came here to Road America, he won heat number 3. That was back in the Mustang America's Cup. So Sean McClemens technically the defending winner here in Road America and in the RTA Virtual Motorsport F4 Championship. Interestingly enough, and Ronan mentioned this last week, he said Dylan gets a lot of credit, which admittedly is probably mostly from myself and Kevin. But John McClemens in the last 3 seasons has managed to pick up a win before his brother every single time. And that's happened again here in the RTA Virtual Motorsport F4 Championship. I think he's given either Dylan or Ronan the slipstream through the kink and down towards the Canada corner. Here is Conor Melia just running a little bit wide, but he will be looking to improve his time a little bit and keep Dylan McClemens behind him a little bit further down the order. Rory O'Shea, who has been a front runner up until really his mistake last week in Austria, is down in 8th spot in the 209s. He's not too far off, but would like to be a little bit closer to the front of this order with 2 minutes to go. Brandon McCaughan as well, down in 11th. So a couple of drivers underperforming, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. At the self-proclaimed Peter McCann's biggest fan, the Wexford man Rory O'Shea, he's kind of peaked very early in this championship. Had a great round in Interlagos. We got to see him on the webcam celebrate his victory in that one, which was great. But yeah, it's just it's a case of are the rest of the pack starting to catch up now with Rory? He'd said on the opening stream that He had plenty of practice in the F4s. He had done a championship in them before coming into this week. So now we're starting to see the rest of the grid starting to catch up. And for Brandon McCann, it is a disappointing one. For him, I mean, very, very quick driver, obviously quick in real life as well, but the margins are so small here. I mean, we'll have slightly larger gaps, I imagine, because of the length of the track, but really the margins are so small between these guys. And one little mistake is even there, Kevin Joyce, you see, he slides the tail back around and there's no point in him continuing the lap because he's not going to be anywhere near the lead.
Yeah, you actually make a great point there, Kevin. Is the rest of the grid just catching Rory and Brandon? I would say yes, because Rory and Brandon were the two drivers with the most experience coming into this championship. Rory, of course, saying that he had won an F4 championship on iRacing recently, and Brandon McCaulin obviously racing F4 cars in real life. So it might just be a case of the rest of the grid has got that experience now. They're 4 rounds in, they know how the car reacts to everything, they know where to put it, where not to put it, when to apply the throttle, when to brake. Every little finicky thing that goes on with a race car, they'll understand it now, and it might be something to do with that. It's looking like Sean McClemens is going to continue his good form because he is tracking for pole position here. Jason Smith not improving upon his time, certainly slower in the first and way down in the the third sector, I should say. So Jason Smith is not going to beat pole unless Jason Cooper can pull something from nowhere here, and no, he won't because the session is done. It is Sean McClemens on pole position here in Road America, a track which seemingly he performs very well around.
Yeah, great result for Sean McClemens starting off. And then behind him is Ronan Doherty and Jason Smith, the two vying for the championship. Remember, just a point between Ronan and Jason, with Jason leading at the moment. Then Jason Cooper, as you said, Swift Cooper, they could be on the way back here, even though the GDR guys have a grip there on the top two. But Swift Cooper getting back, and Jason Cooper, a man who we thought might be an outside shout for the championship, certainly looking to see if he can get back in amongst the fight. Then Conor Melia, Dylan McClemens, Peter McCann, another good result for him in the 22 VRA racing, or good qualifying for him, should I say, followed by Luke Cooper, then Sergey Grabin and Rory O'Shea rounding off the top 10. A couple of people who didn't qualify on the grid, but we did just see Tony Stack in the Team Whiskey, or Jordan liveried Team Whiskey, the old Benson Hedges car. Love to see that. So hopefully, no Jordan Kelly on the grid, but hopefully Tony will make it to the grid. Not sure about Jamal Gondor's status. He is, of course, a fan's favourite, so hopefully get to see him running as well. But great qualifying for Sean McClemens. And as you said, Evan, there's no greater motivation for a younger brother than to see his older brother win. So perhaps we may see P6 start to make some inroads.
Yes, we could see some very competitive racing here at America's National Park of Speed. It's known for its cheese, it's known for its basketball, and now we go racing here at its famous racetrack, Road America. Brilliant start from Sean McClemens, gets off the front row excellently. Jason Smith immediately in the slipstream of Ronan Doherty. That's set to be worth about 0.3 of a second tonight, so keep an eye on that. Down the inside as well goes Conor Melia on Jason Cooper, and Melia has got that move done for third position. Really excellent job there, although they are still by side all the way down to what is technically turn number 3 here. Rounding through as well, it seems like we're mostly safely through. There's not many incidents, but it is a long run all the way down towards the Moraine Sweep and in towards a late braking turn number 5. This is where your bravery is really tested here on the opening lap. Ronan Doherty able to get past his teammate Sean McClemens in towards this left-hander, and it seems like those front two have run away. Here comes Jason Cooper, big dive down the inside, and that is going to be Cooper ahead. Dylan McClemens ran very wide to avoid any potential incidents. That's worked out. He's up to 5th.
Yeah, Ronan Doherty straight into first as well, so he leads now ahead of Sean McClemens, and the two Team DDR guys will try and work together. However, Jason Smith is hanging with them, and look at that gap now between the two, Jason Smith and Cooper, 1.6 seconds and gaining all the time. And with Jason Cooper trying to fight off the likes of Dylan McClemens and Conor Melia, which is no easy task, it's going to be very difficult for him to try and make up that gap. So the top 3 at the moment, if they can stay as it is, they can build themselves a comfortable position heading into Heat 2, and I imagine that's what they're going to do.
Yes, they're going to try and just run away at the front of this one, like we've seen in the early free rounds this season. Flying through the kink down towards the Canada corner for the first time. It is still Ronan Doherty that leads, Sean McClellan second, and then Jason Smith in third. Then it's 1.7 all the way back to Cooper, as Kevin was saying, the front three, in a little bit of a world of their own. The biggest gator in this opening lap is that Team Whiskey machine of Tony Stack. He's up 5 places, but still sits in 22nd, and as I say that, he's actually dropped a couple. He's down to 24th now, but there's one for you. That's going to be David Prunty, and there is another car off there as well. Bit of damage for someone, and I think one of the Swift Coopers has ran wide. Sean McClements gets ahead of Ronan Doherty in towards the final corner, or does he? No, he doesn't. Doherty's decided to rejoin us on the circuit.
Yeah, deciding Luke Cooper, one of the guys that have gone off there, he's down 8 places. Up 6 is Joao Gabriel Castro as well. It's a good start for him. And Rory O'Shea, we said that the rest of the pack is catching up with him. Rory's made up no fewer than 4 places. He's up to 6th position at the moment. Now, a bit of a gap between himself and Dylan McClements, about a half a second, but still, Rory, he's trying to fend off Peter McCann, but he's still very much in with the shout, as running wide there is the 35 Vicini Jason Cooper, and that's going to open the door for Dylan McClements to make a move down into this next corner. This next corner, of course, being turn number 5 here at Road America. He's got the route move done. Oh, sorry, we're back to Ronan Doherty, who still leads. Let's see if Dylan can get that move done on Jason Cooper. He does, I think. The Team DDR in 1, 3, and 4, and Jason Smith trying to fend off now 3 different competitors if Dylan McClements can catch up with his brother in third.
Yeah, we saw last week in the Red Bull Ring, actually, Dylan was in a very similar position where he's about a second and a half off the top 3, and he did end up closing that in, so don't count him out of this race just yet, even if there is only 7 minutes left of it. It is Ronan Doherty who leads, Jason Smith in second, then Sean McClemens in third, Dylan fourth, Jason Cooper in fifth, then it's Rory O'Shea, Conor Melia, Peter McCann, Brandon McCaughan, and Kevin Joyce, so it is 10 almost household RTA names at the front of this one here in Road America. We're heading up to the almost flat-out kink with the slipstream, though. That will, of course, help it. It is Rory O'Shea who is right behind Jason Cooper, and oh, look at him all over the rear wing down towards turn number 12. Let's see, can O'Shea go for the inside? Smith goes for the race lead on Ronan Doherty, so there'll be a swap around there. These 3 working together. These 2, not necessarily. O'Shea very, very late in the brakes, and this is going to have to be very careful from Jason Cooper. He's got a little bit of a push and a shove, but as they head up towards Thunder Valley, Rory O'Shea is ahead.
Yeah, great move. Fantastic move from Rory O'Shea, and he would be disappointed with his qualifying, but now all of a sudden, Rory, having started in 10th position, is now up to 5th, so he's doing a really good job here, Rory. Great racecraft, as we see Ronan Doherty now getting that toe. You were talking about it earlier, Evan, and Ronan trying to use it to his advantage as he tries to get back past Jason Smith.
Yes, he has got past Jason Smith, so Ronan Doherty now in the race lead once again. Peter McCann has got past Conor Melia, and Jason Cooper has got back past Rory O'Shea. So it seems like if you can make the move in towards the Canada corner, you will be re-overtaken in towards turn number 1. This is one of the further back squabbles. You can see Brandon McCaughan in the old Ferrari livery diving down the inside of Conor Melia. That's an excellent move from McCaughan in towards turn number 3, although would have picked up a 1x for running wide on that curb. The track limits are pretty ferocious there. You don't really want to make too many mistakes. They will punish you heavily. Smith back into the race lead. Leads the 2 Team DDR cars off the circuit to get the biggest run through that corner that they can. Kevin Joyce has fallen behind Conor Melia now for 9th, and McCann ahead of McCann for 7th. Heat 1s are usually fairly quiet, Kevin, but we're getting a barnstormer here so far as McCann makes a mistake. Through goes Kevin Joyce.
Yeah, this is absolutely superb stuff, Evan. I mean, really clean, close racing. And obviously the stewards have handed out bans this week, and the message has been understood by the grid. So it's great to see. There's some really close, tight racing, but no silliness going on this track. And it's not really a track that you can get away with much, because even though, you know, the barriers aren't right next to the circuit, the lack of, I suppose, the speeds that you're going at and how tight the circuit is, how twisty and windy it is, it's almost like the closest thing you can get to the Nürburgring, but in America. As Jason now moving in to the back of Dylan McClements as he get towards Canada corner. Will he move out, try and make a move there? Knows he stays where he is, which means that Rory O'Shea is getting closer and closer. And I'm going to make a quick suggestion as Dylan gets wide there now, but he's going to hold on to the position, that I suspect we may have a bit of a photo finish, because when you look how close these guys are getting to each other and the run that they're going to get, they're going to use the toe, but it's a case of how quickly can they get that toe going.
Yeah, we had a photo finish here in Mustang GT3s. I imagine we're gonna have a bit of a photo finish in very light F4 cars as they head up the hill once again, down to or up towards turn number one, I should say. Jason Smith in the race lead. Jason Cooper able to get past Dylan McClemens. So it is a Jason leading the battle for first, a Jason leading a battle for fourth. We don't have a Jason leading the battle for seventh because we only have two on the grid. Brandon McCaughan is the one doing that though, and he is ahead of Conor Melia, at least by half a wheel. Doesn't seem to be anything more. Melia back down the inside, of course. His favourite track, this one. When he was speaking to myself and Kevin last week, he could not wait to come here. And Conor Melia making it pay so far.
Yeah, it is a great feeling when you kind of head to one of those tracks where you just really, really enjoy it. I mean, I feel like that about Bathurst, even though it didn't go so well for us last week. It's some of those tracks you get there and you just get a sense of kind of comfort the minute you get there, whatever way it suits your driving style. So Connor definitely on the pace and trying to hold on to eighth position. But Kevin Joyce getting in there and a bit of a tap between those two, but good recovery from Connor. And he's kept the foot pinned, so he's going to be able to stay in it. Running slightly wide is Kevin Joyce, but he's going to do enough to hold on to this position. But absolutely fantastic racing here, swapping and changing and going back and forth as Peter is the latest one to overtake Sergei Grabin. I don't want to add up all the years between these two in RTA. They have massive experience in this format. But Peter McCann getting the move done on Sergei Grabin. But superb racing, Evan, thus far between all of these drivers right up and down the grid.
Yeah, it's been really fantastic so far as Jason Smith goes for the race lead once again. We'll have one more lap on this one. It's only 5 laps here in the first heat. Because of how long they are, a little bit of lap traffic in front that hopefully gets out of the way. That seems to be the number 401, that's Joshua Henry. So hopefully obeys the blue flags, gets out of the way. Actually, Jason Smith is going to be very thankful for this because this is going to give him a bit of a slipstream heading up the hill. It absolutely is. Joshua does pull out of the way, and look, you can see Jason fighting for it, fighting for the slipstream, wants to get every ounce of straight line speed he can, and he's going to run right up behind the back marker's rear wing. That's clever racing from Jason Smith, but I think any driver on this grid understands the benefits of the slipstream here tonight. Ronan Doherty going to pivot for the outside here and try it round the outside through turn number one. Is it going to work out? No, brakes earlier. Looks for the up and under, is not going to get it though.
Yeah, you kind of wonder at this point, we're going to have one lap left potentially after this one. So you wonder,
this is the last one.
This is the last lap. Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense as to why Sean McClemens is trying to get ahead. But even then, still, you wonder, would Sean not be better off just hanging behind Jason and trusting the toe over the last lap? Because he's going to try and make a move here. And like for Sean, even if he does get ahead of Jason, if Jason gets a run on the final corner, he's absolutely toast as he tries to get in the mirrors. Now, the only thing I can imagine is he's just trying to unsettle Jason as much as he can. As we look at the onboard here in the 13 team DDR car, Sean McClemens piloting that one, of course, winning the feature race last week. So full of confidence, as Evan alluded to earlier. Just trying to get in the mirrors of Jason Smith and just make him feel a little bit uncomfortable, the championship leader.
Yeah, he's going to try force a mistake here. He probably knows that it's going to be a run up the hill or regardless of where he is. So he's going to try force Jason into a mistake to give him the best run possible. The dirty air not going to help him too much here for the carousel, but the benefits exiting the corner are absolutely massive and outweigh whatever dirty air you get throughout the lap. Here we go then in towards the kink. Sean McClemens is tucked up right behind Jason Smith in the battle behind O'Shea, tucked up right behind McClemens, and Sean McClemens is going for the race lead, it seems. He's within half a tenth of a second and has to go for the outside line. Jason Smith is going to try put up a wall here, put up a barrier, does not want to lose on the last lap like he did last week in Heat 3 in Austria. Sean McClemens tries the up and under off the circuit. They both go. It's a trip to the beach for Jason Smith.
Yeah, Smith playing in the sand while the two team DDR guys. That was very, very tight for Ronan Doherty, almost taking his teammate out and costing him a win. But Sean McClemens doing enough in the end as he crosses the line here at Road America. Drag race for second place. Can Jason Smith make it? But he doesn't. I don't think he quite makes the head of the line as we cross the line. And it's Team DDR 1 and 2. So the battle between Swift Cooper and DDR. Once again, Team DDR, the Donegal boys, getting the job done. As Sean McClemens and Ronan Doherty finish first and second. Jason Smith will be kicking himself to have lost the lead in the final few corners, finishing third. Then Jason Cooper, Rory O'Shea, Dylan McClemens, Brandon McGaughan, Conor Melia, Kevin Joyce, and Peter McCann. But what a superb opening race we've had here, Evan.
Yeah, Team DDR from County Antrim, I just want to clarify. Jordan Kelly from County
Jordan Kelly's from Donegal.
Yeah, he is.
I'll get there eventually, lads. Sorry.
From Dunloy and that about area of County Antrim. But Sean McClemens, first ever time he's won heat number 1 here in RTA, first ever time he's won something other than heat number 3. That's now 2 wins on the trot for him, something he's never done in RTA either. Or, sorry, I should say 2 heat wins in a row. This is Miles Ragg, who comes across the line. I think might have picked up a bit of damage or got into a bit of trouble somewhere in that race, because it was a strong week for Swift Cooper's latest edition, Miles Ragg. Last week got a 10th place in heat number 3, but nothing to show for so far here in Road America. Here's Finlay Melvin versus Brian McCarthy. I gotta say, Finlay, I really like his livery. It's an old Stewart Grand Prix livery for the man who lives in Scotland. So nice little bit of representation there. Brian McCarthy, a little bit of rally through the final corner.
Yeah, they do have a rallycross track here if Brian does want to get a bit of practice in the meantime. But yeah, Sean McClemens, a great win for him, picking up where he left off last week and really getting to grips with this F4 car as he wins Heat 1 here at Road America. I'll leave you to do the classifieds, and then I want to go back to some of the people that have joined us this evening on our YouTube.
Yeah, so your full results here in heat number 1. It is Sean McClemens, your race winner, by 2 tenths ahead of Ronan Doherty. Then it is Jason Smith ahead of Jason Cooper. And then it is Rory O'Shea, Dylan McClemens, Brandon McCaughan, Conor Melia, Kevin Joyce, Peter McCann, Dermot Toomey, Sergey Grablin. And it is Ken Doyle, Tony Stack, Andrew Murphy, Emma Dempsey with a personal best so far this season in 16. And David Prunty, Jack Canahy. Then it is Phil Upson and Luke Cooper in 20th. Then we have Jamal Gandor, Joao Castro, Miles Ragg, Finlay Melvin, Brian McCarthy, Joshua Henry, and of course no Jordan Kelly here tonight.
Yeah, sadly Jordan is apparently in Wicklow, and I'm going to go back to some of the other comments after we get to this race started.
Yeah, so we're on the grid straight away. No hanging about here in RTA, as we like to say, as we go racing once again. Sean McClemens, I tell you what, he's nailed these race starts. The woes of jump starts back in the Formula V season are certainly gone, because he's nailing these ones. Leads by 3 tenths in towards turn number 1. Rory O'Shea looking racy, trying to get the move on Jason Smith and just try to keep with the top 3 from heat number 1. It is Doherty, though, who is just about ahead of Jason Smith. Dylan McClemens side by side with Jason Cooper here. These two had a cracking fight in heat number 1. They're going to try to continue that here in heat number 2. Brandon McCaughan just behind as well. Emma Dempsey, fantastic start, up 4 positions to 12th. That is a really good bit of racing from Emma. So she is going to look to try and attack Dermot Toomey maybe down towards turn number 5 here. Ronan Doherty's going to try attack his teammate down towards turn number 5, and he's going to get the job done very early on here. Jason Cooper looking for the move on Brandon McCaughan. It seems very close to the apex. McCaughan just about stays ahead, or does he? No, he doesn't. Round he goes. Jamal Gandor and Peter McCann involved in it as well, I think. And Brandon McCaughan is going to have to rejoin the circuit way down from the battle for 10th.
Yeah, that looked like that gap was closing even as we pulled away from it. So we'll go back and have a look at a replay and see what happened. Unfortunately, Peter McCann caught up in that, as well as you said, potentially Jamal Gandor as well. Let's have a look at our Gantry TV F4 replay here. So Jason has it on the outside as we go down the hill. Now look for that red 69 Ferrari. He's going to be caught up in all the incidents here as Jason goes for a move. Brandon comes across him. It's all a little bit awkward. And unfortunately for Jason Cooper, the way he just spun straight back into traffic. There was nowhere for anybody to go. Brandon actually got off lightly, really, considering 2 of them came together. And then Jason with a fairly dodgy rejoin. Tony Stack just about avoiding him down at turn 5, but all very awkward. But unfortunate for Jason, because kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other in it. But Jason just ended up on the one on the inside of the curb, and then therefore was collected by all the traffic that was arriving.
Yeah, it was Peter McCann that went up in the air, not Jamal. Sorry, folks, I can't tell the difference between those 2 liveries from a distance. But yeah, very disappointing for Brandon and Jason. 2 drivers who were looking very racy early on, and Sean McClemens lifting off to pull into the slipstream of Jason Smith, who is going to try and go, just stay behind, it seems here. I think they're going to try follow the pattern of race number 1, which is not something too unfamiliar here. We usually see Heat 1 and Heat 2 follow a similar theme. In fact, the exact same theme so far this season, because Jason Smith won the first 2 heats in Brazil, Jordan Kelly won the first 2 in Donington, and then Jason Smith again in Austria. So if we were to continue that trend, it has to be a Sean McClemens win here tonight. In our comments, as Kevin was alluding to, Neville Smith saying it's a very smart race from the top 3. I have to agree so far. Yeah,
very smart race thus far. And they pulled away once again that gap to I suppose between Rory O'Shea down to Dylan McClemens. Now Dylan is starting to pull that gap in, but the top 4, probably top 5, there still is quite a bit of a gap there between Dylan and Conor Milia. So if these guys work together once again, they'll be in a good position for the rest of the championship. As you said, thanks to Neville Smith for commenting. Johnny says putting Donegal in Team DDR. I was going to say Daft Donegal Racing, but maybe that's not the quite fair thing to say. And also, hello to Grace McCallion, who says, hip bumping and all, I presume, you've been exposed. But just a word to the wise, Grace, if you are going to say the 2 words hip bumping, I wouldn't spell an all like that. You're 1 letter away from a serious disaster of a comment. So Jason Smith leading by half a second. Sean McClemens behind. I wonder, Evan, can Jason Smith pull away here?
We can't let Kevin get unpunished for some of these sometimes. I wonder, could Jason Smith pull away here? I highly doubt it with the slipstream. It's not looking like it's going to be one of them races unless Sean was to spin into the 4 cars behind him. Although now that I've said that, he probably will. That's going to be the only way you're going to pull away tonight. I think there's too many straights and the slipstream is just too powerful. Good to see Rory O'Shea mixing it amongst the top 3 though. Dylan McClemens keeping with them as well. So they're not going to be able to just run their own race like they did last time. There is a bit of a challenge, which hopefully for us leads to more overtaking. Up towards turn number 1 though, it seems like Doherty's going to try it on O'Shea.
Yeah, Doherty trying the move and O'Shea really in the thick of it. And of course, as we said, Rory had a disappointing qualifying, but he's really making up for it in the races. And we saw similar in Interlagos as well as racecraft coming into it in the 81 car. So don't count him out at all. He mightn't necessarily have the bare pace over the course of the lap. But certainly, definitely has the racecraft to mix it with these guys. Grace coming in saying that it means and all. Yes, I do know that. I do know that. But when you have a comment that says hip bumping, you've been exposed. I'm just gonna leave it there. Jason Smith.
He's been told off by the producer, folks. I'll let you in on that one. He's been given out to.
Not the first time Ronan's had to go off somebody this week, so we'll leave it there. Sean McClemens leading Jason Smith. Sean McClemens leading Jason Smith. I'll use my last comments wisely then if Ronan does decide to mute me here, he's saying in the background. As Rory O'Shea once again getting in the thick of it, and Rory a superb drive in the races here, I have to say, just slipping his way into second in the carousel, and could be mounting a challenge on Jason Smith. But Rory, we saw, didn't have the out-and-out pace, or at least qualifying didn't quite work out for him. Maybe that wasn't reflective of his overall pace. But would Jason Smith be kind of happy now to see a buffer between himself and Sean McClemens, given how well Sean did in the last 2 races we've had here over last week and this week?
Yeah, it's the first time tonight that we've actually seen the gap between first and second turn white on the timing screen, which means it's over 0.5 of a second. That's including practice and qualifying. So Jason Smith has kind of got to be happy with this. Fastest lap of this bunch is actually by Dylan McClemens, who's rounding out the top 5. But it is a fight of 5 instead of a fight of 3, of course. We have just under 10 minutes to go, or just under 9 minutes to go, I should say, here in this one, folks. Still plenty of racing action to happen. It's a weave down the straight from Jason Smith. You can just see Rory O'Shea clawing in. That's about 0.2 of a second he's gained. So the slipstream very powerful indeed. But if Jason keeps driving the way he's driving, is able to pull a gap in the tight twisty sector 2, I don't see anything to suggest he can't win this one from first place. It's not as close as heat number 1 was. But then again, it's a motor race. Anything can happen.
We did go motor racing. It is a motor race. Or we went car racing, I think. It is a motor race. It's a funny one because, like, we saw, obviously, in the last race, Jason, I suppose, kind of have an incident later on, the pressure being a bit too much that was applied to him, and then he ended up trying to overcompensate going into kind of the corner and just getting the turn all kinds of wrong. So the fact that Jason leads by 0.4, that gap is coming down, but there are 3 other DDR cars that are very close together now. You would expect that they would be very careful not to interfere with each other's races, but anything can happen. And if you're battling in a pack and somebody makes a mistake, then it doesn't matter how good you are, you just get caught up on it. If you're 4 or 5 tenths down the road and you have a little bit of clean air, then that's going to be in your rear view mirror. So Jason, even though he's disadvantaged from the fact that we have the toe at the moment, and should things continue the way they are, I suspect he won't hold on to first position for the rest of this race, just given the strength of the toe. It only takes one slip up from one of these drivers in the background, and all of a sudden you find yourself actually gapping cars by quite a bit that get caught up in it. So it's all down to the 81 car, really. How smooth can Rory O'Shea be? How consistent can he be? Can he manage the tires as well? Track temperature, of course, in the mid 40s. There's a lot to kind of bear out over the course of the next 7 or so minutes. But it does tee us up. A lot of the drivers talk about how they like the toe, how they like races that involve toe. It does mean they have to be a bit more strategic. And I have to say, looking at the race this evening, it is really bearing its fruit in terms of the way we're racing. And as it mightn't be too much longer before Jason Smith holds on to the lead.
Yes, Rory O'Shea going for it in towards turn number 1, and O'Shea is back where he wants to be. Very nice racing from the Wexfordman. He's up 4 positions in this one and now leads Jason Smith, not leading for what seems like the first time in a long time in this heat. Now he has to tackle with O'Shea in front. Then it is the 3 Team DDR cars, Ronan Darty, Sean McClemens and Dylan McClemens behind, and then you can just see Conor Melia all on his own in the distance. Sorry about that, Connor. I'm sure someone will be to join you soon if these guys keep scrapping the way they are, because Jason Smith is back down the inside in towards turn number 5, and it looked like Ronan Darty was going to try sneak up the inside there as well, but just not able to do so. O'Shea pulls out a line heading under the Corvette Bridge, but that would have been a little bit too risky for anyone's standards, I think. Speaking of just incidents and crashes, unfortunately Emma Dempsey's good start has been punished. Made contact with Joshua Henry just a couple of laps ago and is now in the pit lane, I believe.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate one for Emma. She had a great, as you said, great start and good opening to the series, but hopefully next week may provide her another opportunity to get back up amongst the top 10. It's almost like a DRS train, isn't it? Like, particularly that Road America straight. There's such long straights here as well at Road America that really accentuate that toe. But when you look at the gaps that have, look at Rory O'Shea there in the background, it's almost as if he's using DRS. As we see now, Ronan Darty going for a move down the inside. Ronan deciding that he wants next in line to try and have a go, and he takes second place going through kind of the corner. Good move there, facilitated by the 81 car.
Yes, good moves all around. I have to say, the racing has really been superb tonight, Kevin. I think you will agree. It's been very, very clean. There's been a lot of fantastic battles, and thankfully that's not ending so far. If you are enjoying the action, of course, folks, please feel free to pop a subscription on Gantry TV. We are 1 subscriber away from 200, and I'd quite like to hit that target tonight. I think Kevin and Ronan would as well. Speaking of Ronans, Ronan Darty under pressure from Rory O'Shea in towards turn number 1. It looks like Jason Smith is going to survive the battling for a handful of corners at least, in towards turn number 1 and then down towards turn number 2. You might think turn number 2 is the right-hander, but it's actually here because for some reason Road America have decided to name the corners after the Marshall posts and not the actual corners. Very
bizarre, I have to say, and I do love Road America, but not a fan of that, I have to say. Makes things very confusing for everybody. We're just looking to see, there might be a move down into turn 5 now from Ronan Darty in on Jason Smith. He's going to stick his nose in, but no, he's going to hold off a little bit as they all bunch up a little bit in the concertina effect. And I was afraid that Sean McClemens might go into the back of Rory O'Shea there for a second, but they're all staying away from each other. And I do just want to give a shout out to our own Ronan Hederman, who's obviously working extremely hard in the background to get things sorted for this evening, but took a little bit of time out on Saturday to race with us at Wildfire at the Bathurst 12 hours, and in absolutely atrocious conditions. Ronan absolutely smashed it out of the park. His stint was absolutely superb. Unfortunately, I hit the skyline with a bunch of cars, and the leader absolutely destroyed us from behind. But needless to say, from himself and indeed formerly of this parish, Jack Canan as well, 2 great drives. So we were representing Ireland as best we could, but hopefully upwards and onwards for Sebring. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Ronan there for all the work he's been doing this week, because I know he's been a very busy boy with his own business as well, Sim Consultants. They've been doing a lot of installs, so Ronan's been exceptionally busy. So great that he found the time to work away in these issues, and I hope you're enjoying the stream as much as we are. Neville Smith coming in saying this is a real game of chess. Is indeed, Evan, isn't it? There's just a sense of in chess terms, a bit of a stalemate at the moment until these drivers really mount their last offense on the final lap.
Didn't know you had the chess terminology in you, Kevin. Fair play. Jason Smith going, or under pressure, I should say, from Ronan Doherty behind. Just another quick thing about our own and Ronan Hederman. An inside source tells me that the Sim Consultants facility is looking fantastic these days. So, big shout out to all the work there. Ronan Doherty, oh, this is sketchy side by side, and Doherty does very well not to spin there. Rory O'Shea does very well to avoid a potential spinning Ronan Doherty. He now pivots to the outside in towards turn number 3. Sean McClemens on the inside of Rory O'Shea. I think someone's queen has just been snatched. We now have a battle amongst the pawns down towards turn number 5.
Yeah, we're not talking about the YouTube comment sections this time. A really interesting battle. And look at it now as these guys fan out across this straight as we head down into turn 5. This is where we've seen a lot of the action this evening. Rory O'Shea trying to kill at the 4th position. He forces Dylan McClemens out wide, and a puff of sand goes off in the background as Rory is hemmed in tightly by the 88 car, who now has the inside, but it's going to be in contact between the two. Great work by Rory O'Shea to keep that in the track. As he goes slightly off, but great work, and he's going to be rewarded for that. And rubbing of rubber again between these two, and this is very tight altogether. And a spinning car from the distance. Oh, that's not the greatest rejoin in the world. I think it's fair to say. I think that's Josh Henry in the 401 car, if my memory of liveries is to be correct. But yeah, very tight there between Rory O'Shea and Dylan McClemens. Literally rubbing is racing, and I think these two very much displayed that as Jason Smith takes us up for the final section. And I think, Evan, thankfully for you, for me, and for everybody watching, we're going to have another lap of this.
Yeah, I think so. Rory O'Shea giving what he can get. I'm not sure we will have another lap here because it's quite a long run up the straight. No, this is going to be it. So this is the final trip round America, and is there going to be a late lunge in towards turn number 14? I'm not too sure, but a drag race to the line is certainly in order. Ronan Doherty fires it out of the final corner. He's got a chance here heading up the hill. Who's quickest in a straight line? Is it Smith? Is it Doherty? It's going to be Jason Smith here. Ronan Doherty just about doesn't have enough. Sean McClemens fired it off the track in the final corner as well. He'll have to settle for 3rd. The top 3, it is a bit of deja vu, despite Rory O'Shea and Dylan McClemens putting up a fierce fight. Incredible racing here in Road America.
Brilliant from top to bottom as well. Some really good racing in the midfield that we didn't even get to catch because we were so fixated on that front 5. How often do you see 5 fanning out down the main straight on the final lap? This is kind of like the equivalent of, and speaking of IMSA, this is like MX5 racing here, but it's our own X5 who are making moves on the second race here. It's fantastic to see Ronan Doherty doing really well to hold on to that second place, because at one point it looked like he had lost it there going through turn number 3. But Jason Smith breaking, I suppose all records are there to be broken, and Jason breaking the form book and capping off with a second race win, taking it away from Sean McClemens. So this is the first time we've seen the first 2 races go to 2 different drivers. Jason now, really good evening for him thus far, finishing obviously the top 3 of the first race, winning the second race and consolidating his position, although I suppose Ronan is there as well. So just these top 2 are so close. And Rory O'Shea, from what we thought was going to be a very difficult evening for Rory, he's put himself right back in the mix.
Yeah, this has been really good. Pole position as well for the reverse grid, by the way, is going to go to Sergei Grabun. So that's an interesting one. It'll be a first time in the F4 that Sergei will be starting at the top. Let's run through the results then before a few interviews. It is Jason Smith, Ronan Doherty, Sean McClemens, Rory O'Shea, Dylan McClemens, Conor Melia, Miles Ragg. Great recovery from Miles Ragg, by the way. And then it's Sergei Grabun and Brandon McCaughan. Another good recovery from McCaughan as well. Brian McCarthy in 10th. That is Jack Canahy in 11th. And it is Phil Upson, David Prunty, Tony Stack, Luke Cooper, Dermot Toomey, Finley Melvin, Peter McCann, Ken Doyle, and Jason Cooper rounds out the top 20. Then a little bit further down, we had a lot of incidents, a lot of spins, unfortunately, and a lot of these drivers didn't have the best of races. Kevin Joyce, Andrew Murphy, Joshua Henry, Joel Castro, Emma Dempsey, and Jamal Gandor rounds us out in 26. Kevin, I believe we are going to have Jason Smith with us now.
Yeah, 3 things are sure, it seems to be, over the course of this F4 championship: death, taxes, and Jason Smith joining us for an interview. Jason, that's a testament to how the championship has gone for you thus far. Came into it as championship leader, and another solid evening's work thus far.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the top three of us, I think we've all scored equal points up to the last race now. So, no, it's been great racing between us all, nice and close. And you see that on the last lap of the first race. So, yeah, no, it's unbelievable racing.
Yeah, that last lap of the first race, you were kind of so desperate to hold on to it going into kind of the corner. You slightly overcooked it, obviously heading into the beach. A disappointing one, but I suppose look, 3 races in an evening really means that like you can make I suppose a mistake like that, but still kind of come back and have an opportunity again.
Yeah, no, I couldn't really believe it when I locked the right front, and then Sean overcooked it as well, and he was coming onto the gravel when I was coming back on, so I was like, oh, I better stay on the gravel, otherwise we'll have an accident. But no, like the three of us have been getting little zero X's from, like that's just such good racing, not having any crashes or anything like that, and all of us have been playing really smart.
Yeah, it must be tricky though. Like you look at the last lap of the last race there, you guys were coming down into turn number 5, the downhill left-hander, and the first 5 of you kind of all spread across the track. So you're trying to fight for your own little bit of tarmac.
Yeah, exactly. I was loving it when I seen it in the mirrors. Everybody, everybody battling. I was like, oh, grand. I'll have a if I don't make a mistake, I should be on for the win. But then Ronan again with the toe and on the back straight in these is just unbelievable. So I just can't believe the racing. It's just been really good.
Yeah, I can sense it off you absolutely, and it's great for us to watch and people watching as well at home. The final race, what's the tactic? Obviously, you start in 8th now with the reverse grid, with the toe being so strong. I suppose there's still plenty of chances for you.
Yeah, exactly. In other tracks, you don't have to you be wanting to get up the front as quick as possible. But in this, you'd like to get up to the front as quick as possible. But we know the toe's so strong, so it's just really about keeping your your wing intact. Because if you damage your wing here, you're losing a lot in a straight line. So no, just about keeping your nose clean, trying to get a good finish.
Well, Jason, I'll let you back to it. Thank you very much for joining us as ever. No doubt we'll be speaking to you probably later, if not later than next
Don't
week.
jinx me now.
Yeah, no, yeah, try not to.
No,
Um,
ladies
our,
first.
well, if I haven't jinxed you there, current championship leader, Jason Smith. Best of luck in the
Thanks,
final
guys.
race.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
So great, great to be joined by Jason. And a quick word that we have now surpassed 200 subs on Gantry TV. So thanks to everyone for joining us. And if you are enjoying it, do click that button. Evan's joined by Ronan Darney.
Yeah, Ronan, just a quick word. To quote Neville Smith, it's been a high-speed game of chess out there.
Yes, sort of. You were just finishing the podium because in a night like this, the race that's really going to mess you up is the third race. You know, you might gain 2 points or 4 points in the other 2 races, but if you have a bad third race, you know, or you get yourself out of position to not be in the top 8 for the third race, it's bad. So yeah, Jason and Sean, they both played their cards right in their respective races, and the toe's a massive factor.
Is it the next race then just about keeping your patience?
Yeah, well, yes, but then also you don't want to get held up and then lose the toe of the front pack because then you're sort of toast. But yeah, it's a combination of the two.
Ronan, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we speak to you
Cheers.
after.
Thanks, lads.
So good to hear from Ronan Doherty then, and of course pole position for the reverse grid heat will be Sergej Grabun's. A very interesting front row, and he will be joined by Miles Ragg. So Ragg on the front row in just his second week of RTA. Is it finally time that a Swift Cooper wins a race, Kevin?
I'm not sure. Well, it's good to see the grid in rag order for a change. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I really do hope that the Swift Cooper guys get in amongst it. Sad not to see Jason Cooper there. Not sure what happened to him in the second race, but he's somebody we always love to see involved. So I'm not quite sure what happened to him. But
The Brandon McCaughan incident.
oh, of course, Brandon McCann incident, turn 5, yeah, of course, and Jason getting clipped then by Peter McCann. My apologies, yeah, of course. So unfortunate too for Jason not to be in amongst that, because I think the future race gives him a great opportunity as well. He's normally in and around it, so if he doesn't finish on top, it gives him an opportunity to be closer to the top for the next one. But Jason Smith starting on 8th, and Ronan Doherty in 7th. As the lad said, it's really feature race is kind of where the championship is won and lost, isn't it? Because if you lose, you really big chance of losing some serious points here.
Yes, we put huge emphasis on it, and that is because it is of the utmost importance, and it will be a bit of a melee maybe come turn 1, 2, and 3. Here we go then. Sergei Grabun on pole, Miles Rag alongside him as we go racing for the final time here in Wisconsin at Road America. Brilliant start from Conor Melia, excellent launch. He's going to be looking to lead come the apex of turn number 1. Has the outside on the sort of lime green and purple of Sergei Grabun, but brilliant start from Melia. Great start from Dylan McClements as well. He's trying around the outside of 3 of them. No, sorry, that's Rag actually on the outside, so McClements, an even better run. Rory O'Shea taking a quick trip to the beach on the exit of the first corner. Sean McClements already making moves. Ronan Doherty is already up to 4th. Ronan Doherty is already up to 3rd position. Patience is the key, he says. What an absolute liar. This has been an unbelievable race start from him. Jason Smith right on his tail as well, so it seems like the pace setters in Heat 1 and 2 are off the marks very quickly.
Yeah, Ronan Doherty would be known as an untruther in the Dáil, but Ronan Doherty is indeed not quite. Oh, that's number 1 car skriding down the inside, and Sergei Grabun getting caught up on that. Look at Rory O'Shea trying to avoid that. That was Jack Conakey. Apologies, Jack, if I've mispronounced your last name, but or Kanaki, I think, going down the inside. 2 Swift Cooper machines in the background there. You can see Luke Cooper and Jason Cooper and Miles Rag involved in that. A very disappointing race for Miles Rag, forced off wide by Ronan Doherty, and then caught up in that instant. But Sergei Grabun continues to go despite kind of taking the Peter McCann line of slightly going airborne through turn 5. But Jack Kanaki, what is happened to Jack Kanaki? Completely lost it on the brakes going into turn number 5.
Yeah, that's an absolute disaster, and I imagine it's going to be looked at by the stewards. We might have to take a replay if we have the possibility of doing that. Here we go, the top 4 all scrapping at it. It's Jason Smith and Ronan Doherty again. I think my poor vocal cords are tired of saying Jason Smith and Ronan Doherty tonight, because they have been the 2 we've been watching for quite some time. Poor Sean McClements has been left out of the top 4 squabble. He's been replaced with Conor Melia. There he is in 5th position, 1.7 behind, and has work to do to try and catch the fast flying 4 here in Road America. We go up the hill once again on the Road America straight down towards turn number 1. The first lap has been completed. I tell you what, Emma Dempsey has been the best starter of tonight, because she's up 10 positions again and is looking to just break in to the top 15. Of course, we saw what happened to Jack Conaghy. He is down 13 spots to 24th. So Dylan McClements leads for the first time tonight. Of course, his brother Sean winning heat number 1. If you missed that, folks, Jason Smith winning heat number 2. A little bit further back, here's Peter McCann and David Prunty going side by side. McCann has the long way around, but he seems to have got it done.
Yeah, good work there from McCann to get the move done, as you said. Hopefully we get an opportunity to come back and look at that instant earlier on, because I do suspect that the stewards will not be happy with that at all. I'm just looking for something. I'm going to leave you talk, Evan. I have just the sound clip to describe exactly what happened.
Okay, well, here comes Jason Smith defending from Dylan McClements. We'll give Kevin a second to get whatever he has ready. Miles Rag, unfortunately, in the pits, and yeah, unfortunately, not a great evening for him. He's down to 22nd, even though had a good recovery in heat number 2. Let's have a look at this replay then and see what occurred down towards the Moraine sweep of turn number 5. Here on the opening lap of proceedings. So that's Miles Rag you're looking at in the infamous Swift Cooper livery, which is the white with the blue.
Hang on 1 second. Hang on,
oh.
And here we go.
It didn't play.
Oh, I didn't hear anything. Okay, great. I was the Francesco Virgolini. See, just
you want to put the replay again, and you can make.
No, it's okay. It's fine. It's been done. But anyway, you get the sense.
We'll edit it in post. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It'll all be sorted.
It's not live. Nobody will notice.
Dylan McClements goes for the race. Ooh, nudge between O'Shea and McCann. I tell you what, Rory O'Shea's put some extended elbows on that machine, because he's been making contact with a couple of cars tonight. He's not being pushed over, that's for sure. That's very close, heading for the final corner. Jason Smith being pushed through the apex by Ronan Doherty.
Yeah, it's like Tom and Jerry, isn't it? It's just the 2 of them just being at each other for the whole evening.
It is.
And yeah, you can see from the back of Ronan Doherty's car now, Conor Melia in amongst it. Conor was leading the race not so long ago, so he's just been shaken to the back of that 4, but then a massive gap between himself and Sean McClements, who would be very, very keen to get himself back in amongst it. Rory O'Shea now finds himself in a bit of no man's land, but to be honest, for Rory, he's done enough battling in this race to last him for a couple of weeks. So I think he'd be quite happy to have a little bit of space and the opportunity to get back in there. But of course, not in the toe makes it a lot more difficult, as David Prunty just gives Peter McCann something to look at in his mirrors as they head in towards turn 4. We head back down towards now the infamous turn 5. We've seen so much action thus far. Jason Smith trying to go around the outside of Dylan McClements. And of course, Smith has been battling Ronan Darty all this evening. This time he's had the DDR car. He's managed to make it stick at the moment. Will he make it stick to the next corner? Not quite. He's had to check up on the brakes, and Ronan Darty having to take evasive action to avoid him. Conor Mealy is watching all of this go on ahead of him, and he's just thinking to himself, okay, I'll bide my time. I might have a chance here. Look at Jason Smith. He's got the move done as Jason Smith in the 26 car. How he has managed to get a move done in that series of corners, that is absolutely outstanding pedal work from Jason Smith in the 26 car.
I tell you what, Jason Smith this season, he has taken such a leap because his racecraft has been unbelievable. Of seasons of the past, he will tell you himself that it was kind of the bomb down the inside move was his speciality. Where now it's just been quality all over. But Dylan McClements gives as good as he gets, and he's going to try it now out down the out or around the outside in towards the Canada corner. Jason Smith breaks a lot later and once again parks it on the apex. McClements has to run wide. This is vintage RTA heading here in Road America. 6 minutes on the clock, 20 in total. We will be racing. It could be any of this grid for now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder how long as Conor Mealy goes wide there at the final corner. That's going to close the gap again in Sean McClements, and more importantly for Conor, it's going to push him a little bit back from this chasing pack. He still is in the toe though, so he'll have an opportunity to claw that gap back. But as we look at Jason Smith and Dylan McClements continue this fight, 13 minutes-ish left on the clock, probably 14 when you consider the extra time for the lap as Dylan grinds around the outside. Once again, he's side by side. Ronan Darty tries to move down the inside, but he's just forced out slightly. Ronan with a sort of enterprising move, which has been blocked by Jason Smith. Computer says no, figuratively and literally, as the two of them touch, and now Ronan gets back involved again. I really wonder, I don't want to put the jigs on it, but 13 minutes. We can't possibly have 13 minutes of this. These guys are good, but 3 wide going into turn 5. And Jason getting the push from Conor Mealy. Oh, lads, this is going to be very tight.
Look at this, look at this, look at this. Do they all survive? Do they all survive? Do they what? Oh my God, Ronan Darty, a piece of excellence to somehow keep both himself, his teammate and Conor Mealy in this race. That is so close. We can't get any closer. I don't think you could have fit a 1p coin in between those 3 cars coming down that straight. A little bit further back, there's plenty of battling, but we have to keep our eyes up the front here because this is really excellent. Unfortunately, Phil Upson pulled off to the right-hand side. Doesn't seem like he'll be taking any further part in this race. Disappointing for Phil, who was having a good race so far. Down towards the Kink then, the run down towards the Canada corner. Will we be getting another overtaking attempt? I would like to think so, given that we've got 8 minutes of them so far. It's going to be Dylan McClements once again attacking Jason Cooper. He does have a little bit of a buffer behind if he chooses to stay behind Smith, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to wait for the main straight to get the run up the hill.
Yeah, but of course Dylan now doesn't have his Team DDR teammates directly behind him. He has Conor Mealy behind him, who's a privateer, so he doesn't have that support that he would have if he was surrounded by his teammates. And once again, the DDR guys are absolutely smashing it as a team tonight, finishing first and second as Ronan Darty runs wide, and same mistake that Conor Mealy made earlier on, but he's now up to third, so it might work for Ronan Darty in the same way. But the lads are saying that they're picking up little 0x's as they're rubbing. They're also picking up little 1x's along the way. Now 15x is a long way to get to, so don't expect to see them hit that. But the more you race, the wilderness, of course, naturally you're going to get, and the more X points you're going to pick up naturally. So it is something that these guys have to keep an eye on with more than 10 minutes left on the clock.
Yes, you've got to be in the race to win the race. Or I'm sure there was some quote like that from Murray Walker. You've got to just survive until the end. And with some of the battling we've seen tonight, I tell you what, it could be close if some of these guys get there, but we're having a great time here on Gantry TV. Dylan McClements goes for the race lead once again. Jason Smith will have to settle for second. There's no real defending from that one. But as Kevin said, still plenty of time, plenty of racing to go. You're not going to win it on this lap. You're not going to win it on the next one. You're going to win it in 10 minutes' time, and you just got to be there to win it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what we've really hoped for all season. We've had kind of little stupid incidents and sort of a bit of unprofessionalism over the course of the season. It looks like the stewards have really stamped that out. And now look at the result. We're seeing absolutely superb racing right across the top five. And this feature race, even though we saw some guys, as Brian McCarthy spins and Brandon McGahan has to take evasive action, Tony Stack follows him through. Good evasive action there by Brandon McGahan to avoid Brian McCarthy. And to be fair to Brian, got himself back out of the track off the racing line and rejoin safely. So that is indeed a textbook way of how to rejoin for those watching on who need a bit of a lesson in how to do that. But yeah, some superb driving across the top, really the top five here. You can look at them all again involved in it. And Rory O'Shea is in the background. He's involved in it as well. So some superb racing from top to bottom in the grid. And this is exactly what we want to see. Look at that train of cars, that snake making its way through the final section here at Road America. And this is a track that we love to see racing, and it's fair to say, Evan, these guys have absolutely lived up to the billing this evening.
Yeah, best week of racing so far. I think this has been absolutely excellent. And once again, look at the run up the hill. Dylan McClements just pulls out of line. He's going to be side by side with Jason Smith in towards turn one. Conor Melia might fancy his chances. No, just backs out. That's going to force Ronan Doherty to go for the move on Sean McClements as Dylan McClements leads. Jason Smith in second. Then it's Ronan Doherty in third. Conor Melia in fourth as Sean McClements in a now Kilray Auto and Tyres sponsored car is in fifth position. Rory O'Shea in the high pre behind in sixth. That's my high pre mention of the week done.
Yeah, it's a great name for a racing team though, isn't it? It just sounds really professional. I mean, I don't know what it means, where it comes from, but it just sounds right. You know what I mean? It just sounds like it should be a racing team. Dylan McClements doesn't need to name his team anything spectacular because he lets his racing do the talking for him, as that's wide there on it. It's go around. That's Ronan Doherty. Is it Sean McClements hitting Ronan Doherty? I know the two have tied each other up. Unfortunately, it's a bit of three-legged racing here. And Ronan now just absolutely... That's a great shot from Ronan Hederman here, as Ronan now finally can escape as there's bits of wing all over the place. Let's have a look back on that. I think was it Sean McClements lost it and went into Ronan. It's one of the two. It's difficult when they're both wearing the same livery. Here we're going to focus on Ronan. And to be fair, look at Conor Melia in the 56 car, because he does really well to avoid this contact. So a bit of contact, managed to stay out of the wall. That's the 13 car. I think that's Sean just completely losing it on the brakes. He not sure what happened there. He got caught up with Conor Melia and then just lost all braking traction. Ended up running straight into the back of his teammate. That is such an unfortunate incident for those guys after what's been an absolutely enthralling race. But it was always going to be impossible to try and sustain that level of racing for 14 minutes straight.
Yeah, disaster for the two Team DDR cars. Made contact, got stuck together it seems, and then we're just sat there like they were trying to exit the apple green on the A26. Very disappointing for Sean McClements and for Ronan Doherty. And Ronan actually mentioned it in the interview with us, Kevin. He says this is what makes or breaks your race in terms of a championship battle. And it's all gone down the drain. It's going to be no wins in 4 weeks for Ronan Doherty, his worst start to the season as long as I've been in RTA. And now Rory O'Shea is into the pit lane to potentially serve a drive-through. So we've gone from a 5-car battle up the front to a 2-car battle.
Yeah, and even
as
then
Dylan's in as well.
Yeah, Dylan's in as well after that incident. We must have been caught up in it as well. So Team DDR almost self-imploding there for the final race, and be interested to see what the post-race chat is about that is like. Love to see the cross-border inclusivity as well from you, Evan, with that reference of the A26. You didn't go for an N road, you went for an A road. Love that.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
Loved. You must have found yourself in the exact same situation. Brandon tries to go down the inside of Tony Stack, who... Well, I was going to say he's in third. Brandon might take third from him now in the 69 car. Can he? I think Tony's going to have to give it up. No, he's not going to give it up. He does not give it up. Does Tony Stack in the 28 car and rides roughshod over the curb and holds on to that position for the moment. But Tony Stack, we weren't even sure whether he was gridding at the beginning, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for a podium.
I tell you what, some substance has been indulged by the team whiskey machine to go for that one around the outside. it was glued to the throttle, it seemed there, just hooked it right the outside of McCaughan, somehow has survived and is somehow still in third place. This now invites Jason Cooper into the fight, and these three, they're doing what Team DDR did. They're going way too close to each other for any team boss's liking, but these guys aren't teammates, so they can do what they like. Jason Cooper now into the slipstream, and look at David Prunty getting past Brandon, or sorry, Peter McCann, I should say, getting past Brandon McCaughan as well. Late braking from Cooper. Stack just pulls in behind. We have a totally new but equally as entertaining fight for the final podium place.
Yeah, and all different types of colour schemes as well here. So if incident does happen, it's going to be a lot more easy to identify these guys than it does the Team DDR guys. But big shout out to Jason Cooper, obviously caught up in a very disappointing incident in turn 5. And I wonder, you know, obviously butterfly effect, you know, all these things. If my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bicycle, etc., etc. But if Jason hadn't been caught up in that incident, you'd wonder what kind of impact he would have had on this final race, because he is paced to burn. Jason Cooper, he is up an absolute swathe of positions as Peter McCann slices down the inside on Tony Stack. And despite these guys knowing each other for a very long time, there is no love lost in racing. Peter McCann now into 4th position. Peter McCann could be getting a podium, as could Jason Cooper, and Jason Smith's thinking to himself, what a position I'm in now.
Yeah, Peter McCann only had the 2 podiums in the LMP2 Championship. He hasn't got any this season so far in the F4, so he would like to pick up one now and try get close to his personal best tally of 5 in the Formula Vs. Got a lot of work to do to try and keep 3rd place and get there in the first place ahead of Jason Cooper, but cutthroat moves like that down the inside is one way to go about it. Brandon McCaughan all over the tail of the Jordan-esque F4 car in front of Tony Stack. This really has been entertaining. It's been a really good evening of racing so far. Jason Cooper up 17 spots, Peter McCann up 14, Tony Stack up 9. Impressive drives across the board. And it's looking... Oh no, I was going to say we're going to get our first hat-trick of wins, but of course we're not. Because, well, to get a hat-trick of wins, you've got to win 3 wins, and Jason Smith hasn't done that.
Yeah, quick maths there from
that was a
Evan
Walkerism or whatever.
Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. The driver in the car in front does have a distinct advantage over the driver behind. Will Buxton-esque, yeah. Tony Stack, though, again, like for a guy who barely gridded, still in 5th position and holding off Brandon McCaughan in that car. This is a great opportunity for Brandon here to make up some serious points after what's been a disappointing evening for him. Really interesting, because we talked about what a great evening the Team DDR guys were having. Sorry, that's hard to say very quickly. And you look now at Ronan Doherty in P10. He's gone from great evening, you know, like made up some serious points, to now thinking, will this potentially be my drop week, because he finds himself so far behind. Same for the man you see in shot here, the number 13 car, and same for the man who's running in P20th after that, Dylan McClements, number 88 car. These DDR guys, they've had such a good evening up to this evening, but as we said, Evan, it's about this final race, and as Jason was almost clairvoyant, like you can lose so many points in this final race because of the way that it's outlined. So there's very little between the top guys when it comes to the first and second race if they stay clean. But when you get to the final race, that's when it can all go wrong.
Yeah, it can. And Ronan Doherty, I know hindsight is a wonderful thing, but he described exactly what is happening. Jason's heat free has gone fantastically. He hasn't, and now he's come out of this as losing a lot of points despite driving very well in Heat 1 and Heat 2. That's just the nature of this. That's why we put so much emphasis on these heat frees, and I suppose rightly so in some cases. A big thanks to all in the stream chat. Jordan Kelly rightly pointing out that Jason Cooper was 24th at turn number 4. He is now 3rd. Incredible.
It's insane. And as I said, like Jason could have, would have, should have, but if he hadn't been caught up in that instant with Brandon McCaughan in the second race, we could be talking about Jason Cooper as driver of the day this evening. So, and it does kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons, because there was a kind of a few outstanding candidates. Conor Melia has to be up there for a potential candidate, as we look at Sean McClemens and Joao Castro going side by side through the kink, and I was going to try and hold on to it, but Sean is one of the quickest drivers on this grid. going to be exceptionally difficult for the 21 car to hold on to 11th place, but he is doing the best he can as they go side by side once again up the hill. They went side by side down the hill. They went side by side through the kink. They went side by side up the hill with the number 13 car getting the better of the number 21 car for the moment. But some really outstanding candidates. You could have even put Rory O'Shea in that conversation if he hadn't been caught up in that, given the fact that he'd moved up so many places over the course of the race. It's just very hard to think of a really particularly outstanding candidate for driver of the day this evening.
Yeah, it is, and make sure, folks, to let us know in the stream chat who your candidate is. Great racing between Sean McClemens and Joao Castro as we have a look at it once again. Fierce pull out of line for Joao Castro, one of the members of our infiltration of karters, but unfortunately that's just a bit too wide for Joao, and he's going to lose the momentum he had, still within the toe, so this could be dicey down towards turn number 5. But Kevin, we're probably not getting the grand stand finish that we thought we might get in terms of slipstream or drag race to the line, because Jason Smith is 4 seconds in front of Conor Melia, who's 7.3 in front of Jason Cooper, who is, well, quite a bit in front of Peter McCann as well. It's looking like McCann will have to settle for 4th. Cooper has got the head down, and it seems like he's going to confirm 3rd place.
Yeah, I mean, it's great stuff from Jason Cooper. Good one from Evan Walsh, who once again joins us from somewhere in the country. He says Ryanair will be ringing him. He's a top class pilot. I'm sure he can give Rob a ring and see if there's any jobs going there. There might be something going in Ryanair. Tony Stack, I think he's a potential outside candidate for driver of the day as well, given how he's moved up the grid. He's been really solid throughout all the races, and despite not finishing in that top 8 and earning himself a place towards the front, he still managed to make up all those spots into P5. David Prunty's in P8. Brian McCarthy, of course, this battle continuing for P7. Brian's going to try and throw it down the inside to block off David's move in the 52 car through kind of the corner, and he's just about managed to do it, and David going slightly wide there is going to have to hold off for the moment as we head into the final corner, and Jason Smith is the first man to take the flag here, followed by Conor Melia. And Jason Smith, our championship leader coming in, he is our championship leader going out of this evening, and he is, Evan, an absolutely, you mentioned it earlier, a revitalized pilot this season.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ryanair might be an insult at this point. Get him on an A380 or something, because Jason Smith has been fantastic. Although the Ryanair efforts wasn't even towards him, it was the other Jason. But anyways, Sean McClemens, it's just this bad luck that he seems to get once a week, isn't it? He's in the pit lane now, and I think that could be due to X's for the incident potentially with Joao Castro. It's ironic that it's the number 13 that seems to be struggling with the bad luck. Here's one of the drag races to the line, and it's going to be between Kevin Joyce, Miles Ragg, and it is going to be Phil Upson in front of it as well. So yeah, disappointing evenings, or end to the evening, I should say, for Team DDR, but Jason Smith, phenomenal, as he has been all season.
Yeah, and he really has deserved to be top of that championship standing. He's been raw pace, he's got it. Racecraft, he's got it. Tactics, he's got it. Timing, you know what's coming next. So it's been superb from Jason Smith. And attitude, I think, really. Not giving up on races, not kind of counting himself out, not doing something silly because, you know, he's not going to cross the line first. He's been absolutely brilliant. And I know we've sung his praises already on stream, but I think it's fair to give praise when it's due. And Jason's been absolutely superb thus far and managed again to keep his nose clean. We were talking about it in race 2. It didn't quite pan out that way, but if you're in the lead, you know, you don't have a car in front of you by the very definition, which means you've one less car to try and contend with. And if chaos happens in the back, you're less likely to be involved in it.
Yes, as let's run you through your final results of tonight then, folks. Great to see a couple of Driver Day nominees in there, folks. Get your names in. Jason Smith is your race winner in heat number 3 at Road America. Conor Melia in second, then it is Jason Cooper, Peter McCann, Tony Stack, Brandon McCaughan, then it is Brian McCarthy, David Prunty, Dermot Toomey, and Ronan Doherty rounds out the top 10. Then it is Doyle, O'Shea, Luke Cooper, Phil Upson, Kevin Joyce, Miles Ragg, Dylan McClemens, followed by brother Sean McClemens, Sergey Gravel, and Joao Castro, followed by Joshua Henry, Jamal Gandor, Emma Dempsey, not Jordan Kelly, apologies. How was Jordan? Sorry, I'm reading the timing screen. Jordan's actually gained 3 places in that race, according to SDK, so well done, Jordan. But on the actual results order, it is Jamal Gandor, Finlay Melvin, Jack Canahy, Andrew Murphy in 26. Let's hear then from your double race winner tonight, double race winner in Austria and double race winner in Interlagos, Mr. Jason Smith.
What are you doing?
Sorry, Jason, we've pulled you mid-conversation. Congratulations, an unbelievable win there and a cracking battle.
Yeah, it wasn't the commentator's curse anyway, so we wiped that one off the slate. No, yeah, it was a really really tough battle at the start, and then it just kind of came to me then when they all had an accident behind me, and it was just kind of born from there. I was looking forward to the nice racing at the end, but I'll take the win.
The season as a whole, then, we've kind of seen a little bit of a revitalised Jason Smith. Is that just sort of how well you've gelled with the car? Has it been a mindset shift? But your performances have definitely been upped.
Yeah, no, it's just this car really suits me. Really, single seaters in general really suit me. I need to do a bit more testing in the saloons more so, but yeah, this really suits my driving. So being on the edge and mid corner and letting the rear do the turning mostly. So.
You have 4 RTA championships to your name. Is it finally the season to add another?
Oh, I'm not gonna say it just yet, so I don't jinx myself. But no, look, I should be in the lead more at a few the race in Brazil and in the last weekend. I got too many incident points, so no, it's good to finish 3 races and get good results.
Jason, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations, and I'm sure we'll see you on the podium again next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
In second place, then, with another great performance, Conor Melia. I'll hand Kevin over to talk to him.
Yeah, Connor, great to have you in the box. I suppose anytime you're in for an interview, it means you've had a good evening's race. Yeah, just you were kind of in and around it really for all 3 races. And I suppose great for you that you finally kind of got over the line and got a podium in the last one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was tricky first 2 races. Once you lose the toe, it's kind of hard to claw your way back in. So the last race I made sure, obviously the reverse group pole gave me a good position. I got a great start. I was leading lap 1, which is probably the worst place on earth at Road America because the toe is so strong here. But yeah, just made sure to keep myself there. It was a bit of an unfortunate incident. I'm sure it'll be discussed later on. Shame we didn't get to continue the fight, but it's good to get a P2. I'm always generally strong here at Road America. I think I said it last week to Evan that it's a strong track, so I'm glad I've been proven to not be a liar.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to do a track like that justice when you almost feel like when you do so well that you want to make the most of it, especially when it's a track that we don't go to massively often. We're just going to have a quick look at that incident there. You did do really well, in fairness, to avoid the contact because Sean went down the inside, G clipped, and you were inches away from hitting the wall. Then, because Sean went into the back of Ronan, it all kind of happened in front of you, so you had to take very quick, evasive action. Can you try and talk us through those sort of split seconds?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I broke early because, I mean, obviously you don't fight too hard in the first few laps. I think it's a bit unfortunate. Sean came over a little bit early, I think. I saw myself going towards the wall, and I think my rear left locked up. So I had to kind of come out of the break and then watch where the lads are rejoining. There was a similar incident in the first race. I think it was Brandon and someone else. So I had a bit of experience of how to avoid an incident. Just kind of point where the cars are, and they won't be there when you get there. Generally is a philosophy that works well. It was a very close one, though. I imagine it could have very well been 4 cars with the races ended there. I got very lucky.
Well, I think it was a bit of a combination, to be honest, of luck and skill from your part. Just finally, I suppose, like you said, you'd obviously talked about how you enjoyed Road America, but what is it about the track particularly, do you think, that it just gets on with you?
I've just driven it a lot in IndyCar, Indy Lights, in the official races. I've driven it so much. It's such a fun track to drive in an open wheeler. But just experience and being able to race. Like the corners that are there mean you can, besides the carousel, mean you can kind of follow each other well. And obviously the tow is a bit ridiculous down into Canada, but yeah, I just love it. I hope we come back here a lot more often.
Well, if tonight's racing is anything to go by, I think you're fairly assured of that. Congratulations on P2, and thank you again for being part of some of the superb racing we've seen tonight. Hopefully speak to you again over the course of the rest of the season, but for now, Conor Mealy, congratulations.
Thanks very much, Seth.
So we have our last interviewee of the night, and I'm going to hand it over to Evan to do the formalities.
Yes, Jason, congratulations on P3. Just talk me through something quickly. You're 24th on the opening lap. What goes through your mind to somehow battle back to finish third?
24 facing the wrong way in the gravel and come back to third. I obviously I owe a few people having a few crashes to get a few free places. But yeah, just kept my head down and drove and yeah, came up to third. Simple as that.
We saw a lot of great battling, mostly due to the slipstream. Is this kind of fighting something you enjoy? Because I know you're a big fan of single-seaters.
Yeah, I actually struggle with the old slicks and wings thing. I prefer the lower power, lower grip stuff. It takes a bit of getting used to. Not quite got the hang of it, but I can do the lap times, but it takes me a long time to get down to it, and then I'm not really comfortable on the limit. So the draft tracks make it a bit easier. But yeah, there was some interesting racing tonight. I enjoyed it.
Then coming into tonight, you were 8th in the championship. I can't tell you where you're going to be after it because it's kind of all over the place. But what's the goal for the remaining 4 rounds then? What's your plan?
Try and do an evening without having a crash. That'd be good.
That's fair enough. And actually, for the second week running, I think we get to do this, but we actually get to announce this to the driver while they're with us. Jason, congratulations. You're this week's Gantry TV Driver of the Day.
Oh, thank you very much. Not the way I'd like to do it, but yeah, thank you.
Jason, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on the podium.
I'm sure I'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye.
So, Kevin, great to hear from the three guys. Sort of a mixed bag in emotions, maybe.
Yeah, it just like, obviously for Jason Smith, it was kind of business as usual. But for the likes of Jason Cooper, it was a totally different race for him and a very different evening to what he anticipated. As he said himself, that's not the reason why he wanted to win it. He probably wanted to win it from being consistently across all 3 races, but thus is the way things turn out. Jason Smith, now with that result, really consolidates his lead at the top of the championship. It was very nip and tuck there for the first couple of races. Let's have a quick look at where we're heading over the next couple of weeks to see where we decide fate of this F4 championship. But it is poised very finely in the balance because it is extremely tight. So we started the course in Interlagos, then we head to Donington and Red Bull Ring. We're now past the halfway stage at Road America, so we're at the halfway stage, so I say. So we set into the second half of the season, which takes us just over the border to Montreal and Circuit de Villeneuve, then Silverstone, Nuremberg, the WEC layout, so just the Grand Prix layout, and we finish at Spa-Francorchamps at the end of March, where hopefully the weather will be a little bit better in real life anyway. But yeah, we're halfway through, and Evan, it's just the rate. I think it's getting better every week as the guys are getting more of a handle on the car. I think this week is one. It must go into the Hall of Fame of evenings in terms of wheel-to-wheel racing over the course of the entire evening.
I could not agree with you more. That is exactly how I was going to describe it. I think we've been building all season to get to this point. We're now at this point, and we're going to get some brilliant racing in the last 4 rounds. 4 circuits that can provide fantastic racing as well. Silverstone and Spa, I thoroughly look forward to with the big open corners. The drivers have reached now a comfortable level, I think, and I think the fans are going to never reach a sort of ending level of entertainment because we've got something special coming. I can just feel it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone for getting involved. And of course, thank you for subscribing. 200 subscribers. If you do know somebody that is interested in this kind of racing, do just send them our way. Give us a like as well. It just helps us get it out to more people because I think it's good that more people see this kind of racing because it is absolutely phenomenal. Again, my many thanks to Evan Dalton for joining me this evening. My many thanks to Ronan Hederman as well for all of his ongoing work. Really great that we had a really good stream tonight as well to go along with the racing. So thanks to all of you for joining us and enjoying it. Do, of course, as I said, give a subscription, give us a thumbs up. It does help us just get the word out there more. But 4 races to go. If there's anything to go by tonight, we're set for an absolutely exceptional championship. Wide open once again as we head across the border to Canada next Tuesday night. You don't want to be anywhere else but here watching us here on Gantry TV. But until then, have a good week. Stay safe. Enjoy the racing in real life. Song of